So my name is Emily, and I will be leading this discussion.
I'm Stephanie. I'm Andrea.
So, persuasion is the topic for today. So, there are a lot of different words that are used in a persuasive argument. So, first off, we're going to talk about warrant, which is a statement that justifies the use of evidence. So, can you guys provide examples of a warrant?
So in my whale class, for school, we were doing like the skeleton of it. We figured out that it has pelvic bones. Everyone's like, well, no, there's like no such thing as a whale having pelvic bones because it can't move like that. But seeing how like the scientifically like speaking, the evolution of the whale, it used to have legs, but since it became a water marine animal, it suddenly started to lose its legs, so it started to shrink up, but there's still evidence of the legs and bones. Sweet. So how like people say, like, why is my grass green? For some people's lawns are green, and it's because the light is the chlorophyll. It shines blue and red light, which reflects onto the ground when it's sunny, which makes the color green, which shows that your grass is green.
Go. And like it's used a lot in politics too, like during debates and stuff. Like during the last presidential debate, a candidate will say a statement or a fact about something, and then that's most of the time followed up by like a statement to back it up that justifies it. And usually it works, but like whereas Trump didn't really work all the time, he'd say something and it just wouldn't make any sense. So moving on. So a fallacy is a like twist on words, a play on words. That is most oftentimes you want to avoid. So the fallacy we're going to focus on is the bandwagon fallacy, and it's when many people favor an idea and then everybody else also favors it just to kind of go with the flow and go with the group of people. So where do you guys see this just in like life?
So usually in school, like this kind of happens more often than like I guess we would want. But our friend Emma will be sitting there, and she'll be talking, and this girl will walk by, and she's like, "Oh my God, she's so ugly," or "She's super rude," and we'll both just be like, "Oh, okay, yeah," but not really believing her or like actually thinking that, because then we like turn around and we're like, "No, she is not that." Like we actually don't agree, but we don't want to be that person that's standing there and be like, "No, I don't agree with you." Like we want to flow with her and actually be there for her. Most of the time, although it happens in high school, because people want to fit in, you often see it in like it starts in middle school, like towards the end, because kids always want to fit in. They're like, well, if I'm different, then all the other kids are gonna look at you and be like, wow, what's wrong with you? Like either if like a test, people are just like, oh, this test is gonna be so easy, but then you have the people that are like, no, it's actually gonna be really hard, but they're like, yeah, it's gonna be really easy. You don't want to say it's hard because they're going to be like, are you stupid? Like, what's wrong with you? Why don't you understand? But it's most often seen in high school because kids are like, oh, if they see that, oh, this test is really hard, but I think it's easy, they're going to be like, wow, are you a nerd or something?
I agree. I feel like this fallacy is like one of the more common ones because it's at school and it's also at work. Like if somebody has an idea for like something new that you should do at work or like a new concept, most of the time everybody goes along with it just because they don't want to be that person that causes problems, is a roadblock, and then it's just more work. So especially like if it's a really big thing, a lot of people won't oppose it just because they just want to get it done, especially if it's something they don't like. Which can also be really bad because if everybody goes along with something, there isn't any room for growth. And so every once in a while, it's really good to like be that person that kind of instigates things, which is why this is also a fallacy because it's not always a good thing. So I looked up on a website because we were supposed to have an outside source for this that there is a type of persuasion called foot in the door. So if I were to come up to you guys and be like, hey, can you guys carry the stuff out to my truck for me? And then you guys were to come back and be like, can I also have $5? That is the foot in the door persuasive technique because I asked you to do something big and then followed it up with asking you to do something smaller. And so that kind of ups my chances of having you do the smaller thing for me since I'd already asked you to do a big thing. So So based off of that, my example and the definition, where do you guys see this happen, and have you guys ever used this?
So with our, like, referencing back to our friend, usually we'll like end up hanging out, and occasionally she'll be like, oh, like, yeah, I guess I can hang out with you, like, that's fine. And then we'll go and hang out, and then she's like, oh, can you guys buy me food? Like, it's been such a sacrifice to hang out with you. Like, I need food. You guys need to buy it for me. Like, I don't have money. Just buy it for me. And it's like, that's actually more of a bigger sacrifice to us, because even though we're like your friend, it shouldn't be a sacrifice for us to hang out with you, but you're asking for now money to buy food.
Yeah, most of them happen, I feel like, for both of us, like inside the house. Like, I'll ask her to do, like, oh, can you, like, it's your night to do dishes. Can you unload the whole dishwasher? And there's, like, a lot of dishes. And then it's, like, the next day, even though it's my night to do it, but there's only, like, three. I'm like, oh, can you, like, do this for me? Like, there's only three, so there's a higher chance that she'll actually do them, because she'll just, like, go and be like, oh, yeah, I guess there's only three. But then there's that off chance that I'll just have to do more work and then.
Okay, so there's a lot of it between siblings, especially when you're closer. Like, I do that at home too. I'll ask my little brother to do something, and then he'll come back in and be like, oh, can you also put bags in the garbage can, even though you just took out the garbage? So it's kind of crazy how we use different persuasion techniques, and they actually have names that we didn't really notice before. But it's really good to know, because then you can kind of use that to your benefit and use it against people, or use it to make an idea. Like, if you're at school, you can persuade people to be more into your idea. Like, if you're in literature class and you have a book that you have to talk about and you think your idea is really good. So, like, using the different persuasion techniques is really important and, like, really good at the same time, but also kind of tricky, so you don't hit any fallacies. So, thank you guys for helping me today.